Imagine living on a small island where the government cuts off your internet access for an entire year, all because you dared to speak out against a powerful construction company. This is exactly the harsh reality facing the people of Annobón, an island in Equatorial Guinea. In July of last year, residents sent a letter to their government in Malabo, protesting the use of dynamite by a Moroccan construction company, hoping to end the environmental damage. But instead of addressing their concerns, the government responded with a severe crackdown that has left the community isolated and struggling. Since those complaints, dozens of residents who signed the letter were arrested and jailed for nearly a year. Meanwhile, the internet on the island has been completely shut down, a move confirmed by both locals and human rights activists. The internet blackout isn't just an inconvenience. It has severely disrupted everyday life. People left Annobón recently, fearing for their safety and frustrated by the impossibility of living cut off from the digital world. Life without internet has triggered cascading problems. Banking services that once operated online have halted, forcing people to find costly alternatives. Emergency hospital care has been hampered, putting vulnerable patients at risk. Communication is now limited to expensive cell phone calls, driving small families into debt they can't afford. It's hard to overstate how damaging these disruptions can be for an already marginalized community. Often, when governments impose internet shutdowns, they instruct telecom companies to disable services in certain regions or block specific websites. However, the exact technical details of how this is implemented in Annobón remain unclear. What is certain is that this outage continues at a politically sensitive time. The U.S. government has been considering easing corruption sanctions on the country's vice president, who is also the president's son. The Moroccan firm at the heart of this dispute, Somagek, acknowledged the internet blackout but firmly denied any role in orchestrating it. Attempts to independently confirm any connection between Somagek and the government's actions have not succeeded. One protester who spent nearly a year in prison described the situation as extremely serious and worrying, emphasizing the severity of the crackdown. But here's where it gets even more intense. Alongside the internet shutdown, phone conversations on the island are heavily monitored, and expressing dissent openly can be dangerous, according to residents now living in exile. This is part of a broader pattern of increasing repression by Equatorial Guinea's government, which, according to Amnesty International's 2024 report, employs widespread surveillance and intimidation to silence critics. Equatorial Guinea is ruled by Teodoro Obiang, Africa's longest-serving president, who has held power for over 4 decades. His son, the country's vice president, has faced allegations of extravagant spending funded by public money and was convicted abroad for financial crimes. Despite the nation's wealth in oil and gas, a staggering 57% of its nearly 2 million citizens live in poverty, while the ruling elite enjoys luxurious lifestyles. The government never responded to the Associated Press's queries about Annobón's situation, leaving many questions unanswered about the ongoing internet blackout and the well-being of the island's residents. Annobón itself has a troubled past. Located roughly 315 miles off Equatorial Guinea's coast in the Atlantic Ocean, this small island of about 5,000 people is among the poorest regions of the country. There is a long-standing tension between the islanders and Malabo, fueled by accusations that the government neglects Annobón's needs and marginalizes its residents politically, culturally, and economically. Many on the island have expressed a desire for independence. Frustrated by a lack of schools, healthcare, and basic infrastructure, the island's only airport, completed in 2013 by Somagek, promised better connectivity with the mainland but has failed to bring meaningful improvements. Instead, the current internet shutdown has exacerbated living conditions, crippling critical infrastructure such as health services and financial institutions. This internet blackout is not just about technology. It's a stark example of using digital isolation as a weapon to suppress a community's legitimate protests. Somagek first started working in Equatorial Guinea in 2007. focusing on projects like ports and power lines across the region. Annobon's rich geology and strategic Gulf of Guinea location, known for its oil reserves, make it valuable. The company has operated a port and, according to activists, has been involved in mineral explorations. Locals have condemned the company's use of dynamite in quarries, which they say pollutes farmland and water sources, threatening their environment and livelihoods. Their initial hope was that their letter of complaint would prompt government action to stop or regulate these hazardous activities. Instead, the response was brutal repression, combined with a mass communication blackout, a tactic increasingly used by governments in Africa to silence dissent, rather than the more common practice of cutting internet during elections. Tutu Alicante, an activist from Annobón who leads the human rights group EG Justice, highlighted the unprecedented nature of this shutdown. This is the first time the government cut off the internet because a community has a complaint. Internet rights advocates, like Felicia Antonio from Access Now, explain why authorities fear the internet so much. It empowers people to organize, voice discontent, and hold leaders accountable. Shutting it down is often the first move in quelling protests. Somagek's CEO, Roger Sehun, rejected accusations of involvement in the blackout. He defended the company's blasting operations as necessary to the projects, stating that proper geotechnical and environmental assessments were conducted before starting quarry work. Despite the company having its own private satellite communication system, residents say they have no access to even these private services. As it stands, Annobón remains isolated from the rest of the country and continent, left incommunicado, according to Alicante. This situation raises a critical question. At what cost should governments prioritize control and silence over the well-being and rights of their people? Is this suppression justified in the name of development or national security, or is it a blatant abuse of power? We invite you to share your thoughts. Do you believe the government's actions are a necessary evil or an unacceptable violation of human rights? How should the international community respond to such situations? This is the kind of debate that goes beyond borders and challenges us to think about the power dynamics behind internet freedom and civic voice.